Latasha Daniels was charged with first-degree murder of her lover, Pastor Brody's Perry, but she was convicted of second-degree murder. And let me tell you what the difference is. Now, first-degree murder generally in the state of Tennessee, across the United States, you don't have an out date. You don't get to come up for parole. So the big thing about second degree murder is that generally the convicted person will have a chance at parole after serving a portion of their sentence. But let me tell you something. Second degree murder is a Class A felony in the state of Tennessee, and it carries a minimum of 15 years and a maximum of 60 years. To me, 60 years, 30 years, 25 years, depending on the age of the person who was convicted, is tantamount to a life sentence. Like I said, Latasha Daniels was well prepped, and she did invoke some sympathy from me while she was on the stand, even though I do not believe her story in full. I don't believe that Brody's Perry wanted her at his apartment that night. But the defense, they did something very important. They showed how manipulative Brody's Perry was. When you think about his wife, Tabitha, laying her body over his, all I could see was a man who had a wife that at that time in his life, he did not deserve. And you look at Latasha Daniels, who even when she said she chose a certain park to end her life, included some symbolism that was attached in her mind to Brody's Perry. Not only that, Latasha Daniels spoke of the disappearing text messages that they would send each other. Imagine being in love with a man, wanting to spend your life with a man, and you have text messages that automatically disappear. She spoke of coldness from him at times that he did not speak to her. And all you can see from Latasha Daniels is her love of Brody's Perry. So I think that the jury compromised because second degree murder, a Class A felony, is knowingly taking the life of another person unlawfully. So the jury didn't believe that she was out of her mind, that she did not know what she was doing. But with second degree murder, she has a chance to see the light of day again. And for anybody who thinks that second degree murder is not enough punishment, listen, I don't think that a week in jail is a cakewalk. Latasha Daniels not only has a son out here who is probably for 6 years been trying to cope with the fact that my mother was willing to leave me because her heart was broken and shattered, is own type of private hell for any parent who's not a complete psychopath. And I'll tell you something else. The sentencing guidelines are just that. They are guidelines. The judge, the court, does still have discretion. So Latasha Daniels and her defense team, what they have to hope for now is that the court has some of the same sympathy for her that I believe the jury had for her. Me, I don't believe that Brody's Perry asked Latasha Daniels to go to his apartment in Collierville that night. I do not believe that Brody's Perry had any intention of telling his wife Tabitha about their affair. And I don't think that she would have brought that gun into that apartment if she hadn't decided that depending on how that conversation went, depending on how Brody's reacted to her that night, that was going to decide whether he lived or whether he died. Do I believe she was going to commit suicide? I think at most she had suicide ideation because she showed hope. She said that she had it all planned out. She had written out this long suicide note or this letter that she read in court, and she drove to Memphis to find Brody's at a lounge because she wanted closure. And I don't think a person who's made up their mind to take their own life is looking for closure. I think that person has lost all hope. But I could be wrong. Now, the last thing that I want to mention is the manipulation of Brody's Perry of two women. And when that jury hears that Tabitha actually laid her body on top of her husband, I wonder if they thought what I thought. Brody's Perry was not at a point in his life where he deserved a wife like he had. And then when you see what I saw anyway is that Tabitha is still struggling with the fact that her husband had an affair. I think there's a part of her that she still doesn't believe that her husband was sleeping with Latoshia Daniels. And that speaks to the level of manipulation that Brodus Perry engaged in with these two women who showed nothing but love for him. And if you can make a jury, add to it, the jury actually gets to watch Brodus on video lying his butt off, saying that his wife knew about the affair and that Tabitha and Latoshia could be like sister wives. The fact that he was playing with Latoshia Daniels' head about this ethical monogamy and this book, The Ethical Slut. If you can make a jury dislike the victim and invoke sympathy for the defendant, well, you beat a first degree murder charge. Didn't get what the defense was after, but the state also didn't get first degree. And that's why I think it was a compromise verdict. So remember, the jury convicted her of second degree, which means the jury believes that she knowingly and unlawfully took the life of Brodus Perry. So I don't think the jury was snowed. I think the jury had sympathy for Latoshia Daniels, the defendant, and I think the jury did not like the victim, Brodus Perry. Just seeing his wife still struggle with the reality, the truth that her husband was lying to her and cheating on her. Because see, I think Tabitha still has trouble accepting that fact. Well, that just adds heat to the fire. Look at how manipulative Brodus Perry was in his life. And you know what? The older men in my family, they always said that a man playing with a woman's emotions, well, most likely when that man leaves this earth, it will probably be at the hands of one of the women that he played with. Thanks for listening. Drop me a comment. I'd love to know what you think.